Well, the latest out of Oregon now, the feds are vowing to arrest anybody traveling to Oregon with intent to engage in illegal activity. This next article comes from Eric Katz for Government Executive, so this is clearly going to be biased in the government's position. It states here that, quote, the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge remains closed, and it will remain closed for some number of weeks, according to FBI Special Agent in Charge Greg Breitzing, who said at a press conference on Thursday evening. Quote, during this time, law enforcement will continue to man checkpoints at the edge of the refuge to maintain the security of this crime scene. The FBI will deploy bomb technicians to locate and mitigate any potential explosives, Breitzing said. Law enforcement and tribal officials will then spend weeks identifying evidence of crimes and assessing damage to documents, artifacts, and sacred burial grounds. Breitzing indicated the damage was significant and the cleanup effort would be intensive. He also warned any would-be occupier should think twice before following in the footsteps of the recently arrested. Quote, I want to make it very clear that we will continue to enforce the law with respect to the refuge and other federal properties, he said. Anyone who chooses to travel to Oregon with the intent of engaging in illegal activity will be arrested. Now, here's where I'm going to divert off this article for a moment, because I think the key word here is intent. How do they gauge intent? And I'm going to be willing to bet that they are monitoring anybody who has spoken about Oregon, who has spoken in favor of it, anybody. They're monitoring the blogs, they're monitoring social networks. They probably have the NSA picking up all the keywords relating to Oregon, sifting them out, and then trying to determine intent of the individual. Now, in a blog post, FWS Director Dan Ash said any threats against federal workers would not be tolerated. It is unacceptable and criminal for any service employee to face threats of violence for doing his or her job, Ash wrote. I urge you to contact law enforcement professionals if you experience any coercive actions or threats. We are committed to protecting you and holding perpetrators accountable for criminal acts. The local sheriff in Harney County, Oregon, gave an emotional plea for those who oppose federal land control to voice their opinions civilly. He urged anyone who has a problem with a civil servant to write a letter and leave out any profanity. Yeah, write a letter, and then they just end up in the shredder. While the Malheur facility will remain closed for the foreseeable future, at least one federal office that closed out of safety concerns during the occupation has reopened. Yes, the Bureau of Land Management shuttered its facility in Burns, Oregon. Though no occupiers approached it, the office has now reopened on February 9th, according to a spokesman. So there you have it, the latest out of Oregon. And the unfortunate fact is that you now have American citizens who are simply occupying a federal building, just as Occupy Wall Street would be occupying Wall Street. Except the difference was these guys were armed and they weren't going to take being maced in the face by police officers. And now they are arrested for obstruction of the work of a federal official, whatever the charges are. And now anyone who is traveling to Oregon will be charged and arrested. And again, I'll go back to that statement. They said intent, so they're going to have to gauge intent. If you're traveling to Oregon, they're going to track down everything you're doing. They're going to try to gauge intent. And so there you have it. What are your thoughts? Leave your comments below. Subscribe for updates. Push this out to your social networks. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi.